Welcome, everyone. Tony Saracino Baseball Show, Sunday, 5 o'clock, May 17th. Mets take both weekend games from the Yankees. Today's game could be an absolute game changer. If you're a Met fan, you got to be very excited. Tyrod Taylor just going yard, taking a hanging curveball from Bednar deep. Yankees blowing the game. When's the last time the Mets came back from 4 runs down? You go listen to Keith and Gary and Ron in the other room. It's great having all three of them in the booth today, by the way. But I got to tell you, this is one of these games where you feel it change. It's almost like redemption for everybody. You know, Bichette dropping a ball. Bichette 0 for 4 at this point. Bichette gets a hit. You just can feel things changing here, you know. Mets down 4 runs, not giving up, coming back. Mendoza outmanaged in the 6th inning, by the way. Completely outmanaged. And I'll get into that in a second because I really don't want to take away from the positiveness from the Saturday game, which is the bullpen game. Peterson doing the heavy lifting. Vientos driving in 3 runs. Leave Vientos and leave Beatty in the 4 or 5 spot. Leave them right now. I don't think you touch them, and you don't need other players. Just let them do their thing. They'll find a way to get hits. But I'm gonna tell you, this is one of those jump off games. Mets coming off now a 5-1 homestand, getting in at 20-26 now. 6 games under 500, but they are clawing their way back here. If you're a Met fan, you should be very, very excited. AJ Ewing again, just putting together quality at bats. And I'm going to tell you right now, if Bichette doesn't get a hit in that last at bat, okay, and breaking that 0 for 15. You got to consider putting AJ Ewing in the 2nd spot. I mean, this guy has quality at bat every at bat. This guy never goes out of the strike zone. He sees every pitch. He lets it get deep. He can go the other way. He can pull the ball. He runs well. He can bunt. He bunted, you know, had a nice sacrifice today in the bottom of the 10th, get thrown over. I mean, when do you think about putting him in the 2 spot? So, I mean, get him in front of Soto. Soto's going to knock in 125 runs. This kid on base all the time in front of him. But, you know, very, very exciting game. Yankees just got to be beside themselves for blowing this game. You know, Bednar, he came after Vientos. He made him look bad, gets him out on a high strike. And he starts off Taylor with just a lazy, flat, going nowhere curveball. They couldn't have been up in the middle of the plate any better. They could have put it on a tee. And Taylor just crushed it. And all of a sudden, Mets get a couple of breaks. You know, they fall asleep again. McMahon steals 3rd base. There's no way that should ever be allowed to happen. They got 1st and 3rd. Wells hits the ball hard right at Vientos. He turns a double play. Mets get out of it, come back, win the game. Talk about kind of a guy that kind of stabilized the game. I don't think he pitched particularly well, but Manaea came in, gave you 4 innings. 2 earned runs. He lost the strike zone on Volpe, and he walks on a run, and you think this is it. Mets got no shot. But he settles down after that, starts throwing more strikes, gets the Yankees got 3. You know, if you manage the game properly, Yankees got 3 outs in that lineup. Okay, McMahon, Wells, for the most part, Volpe, if you can pitch to him. They had him 0-2, and Manaea lost the strike zone. Okay, I mean, he didn't throw a pitch. And Ronnie's calling it. Ron Darling's calling. Ronnie, I mean, the baseball IQ on Hernandez and Darling are just off the charts. And he's calling what should be done. The only problem was Manaea, you know, you want to climb the ladder there, but he throws it 4 inches out of the strike zone. You know, it's easy for Volpe to see. He spits on that. He throws another one even further out of the strike zone, even 8 inches higher. No problem taking that. Then he backs him off the plate by about 3 feet. Then he throws another one about 6 feet outside. So, you know, you could pitch to Volpe. If he makes his pitch there, he's going to get Volpe out 0-2. He just lost the strike zone. And it was really the last bad batter that Manaea threw to. I mean, after that, he was solid. And that's going to go a long way. He was able to throw 4 innings, save the Met bullpen. They'll be set up pretty well here for Washington. Mendoza rolled the dice, though. I'll tell you straight. 6th inning, Peralta, who 96 pitches, 52 balls. I mean, come on. You can't get and out in the sixth. This guy's supposed to be an ace. The guy won 17 games last year. Can you please get us into the seventh inning? You know, you've got Braziman, you got Raley, and I'll give you Weaver. Okay, you got those three guys who you probably want in the game right now, right? Weaver was on yesterday, so when Weaver's on, I mean, Yankee fans will tell you he's lights out. So they get a bullpen game yesterday, and Braziman was the opener, throws an inning. Raley gets 2/3 of an inning, and I'll tell you why I'm setting this up. He does 2/3 of an inning, and Weaver pitches a couple of innings. Okay, fine. Maybe you don't want to bring Weaver right there. He went an inning and a third. So you get the situation now. McMahon bunts in the sixth inning. It's second and third. And he brings him Anaya to face Spencer Jones. And you know Boone is going to counter. Boone pulls out Goldschmidt. And after that, he's going to pull out Rosario. So the question is, would you rather have Raley or Braziban pitching to Spencer Jones or Manaea to Goldschmidt? Goldschmidt kills lefties. I don't want Manaea in there at all against Goldschmidt, okay? And then you got Escara as a lefty. Do you want, again, Raley? Or do you want Raley or Braziban? Or do you want Manaea? So, you know, you had Goldschmidt, then you're going to have Volpe, then you're going to have Escara. Why are you not going to one of those guys? Because you want to what? The game is right there. It's a tie game. Instead, he goes to Manaea, which I don't like. And that's, first of all, Manaea is really a starting pitcher. I don't like him coming in with men on base. I have this thing with starting pitchers. It's one thing to make them start an inning as a reliever with nobody on. He comes in with men on base. I just don't think he was really comfortable. I don't like the way Mendoza managed the inning. Boone outmanaged him, gets a pinch runner in there. Yankees did everything right that inning. They go from first to third. Mets don't challenge it. Guy was out, but they don't challenge it. So they got a guy on third base. You get a sac fly. Volpe tags up because Vientos doesn't come out and cut the throw. Bichette drops a pop-up. Volpe scores. You know, the Yankees do everything right. And then I have my issues with Brian Cashman, but because he doesn't seem to take certain things seriously. One of them is that he's got Bednar as a closer. I don't care what he did with the Pirates. You know, Pittsburgh, I care less about Pittsburgh. No offense to the folks out there in Pittsburgh land, but this new closing in New York, especially after you've had Mariano Rivera and you've had some other good closers come through here. I'm not a fan of Bednar, and he killed the game for the Yankees. Yankees were a pitch away, basically, from finally taking 2 out of 3 at Citi Field for the first time in about 7 years. And they blow it. But it's not about the Yankees today. It's about the Mets. And suddenly, I think these type of games, even the game before, which is, again, not the type of blueprint I like to see the Mets do. I know Peterson did the heavy lifting, but again, it's basically a starter that goes 4 2/3, and then you got to have a lights-out bullpen. And they only got 3 pitches that you trust there. Not the way I like to do that. Vientos, again, had the big hit in that game, 3 RBIs. Yankees had a sloppy inning, threw the ball around in that game. But I don't know why you wouldn't want to manage this game, and in that situation, to go for it. With your 3 best relievers. I do not count Williams, by the way. Yankee fans will tell you I'm no fan of Devin Williams. I never will be. He did the job this weekend, though. I'll give you a heads up. I'll give him credit for that. He did the job this weekend. He got this, he saved both games. Mets are set up very well. But I think now, all right, so the Mets go into Washington now, right? And the pitching is the bullpen is lined up. They're going to have a problem with Holmes. Holmes is not coming back till mid-August if everybody out there is taking a look. So it's going to be a little bit, the Mets are going to have to try to piece this together. But getting this win today, I mean, this is the first time the Mets have come back in a game, at this late a game, this far behind, since Alonso hit a home run back in playoffs. Not last year, because Mets didn't make playoffs last year, but year before. So just an incredible series of events here that's transpired just this weekend. And this is how fast baseball can turn. This is it's such a long season. And as fans, we tend to, we get too high and we get too low and we live and die everything. But baseball players, it's kind of hard for them to do that because, listen, it's such a long season and they're in the hotels, guys, and the weather gets hot and it's just a grind. But there are certain games, and this is one of them. I think Gary, as I was turning the TV off, yelled, "This is a monumental Met win." And, it becomes monumental when you can build on it. Okay? You know, you can look back at this game if the Mets reel off 7 out of 8 and be like, wow, this was a connected game. This was a game that the Mets could end up having a 4-2 homestand or even 3. They blow both games this weekend, for crying out loud. But they didn't. They take care of business with Detroit. They take 2 out of 3 from the Yankees. They stole a game today, which they needed. They just needed to feel like they could steal a game. You needed, as a Met fan, you needed to think, I got one coming to me. All right, I've got injuries all over the place. I've had strange shit happen up and down on the base paths. Balls getting hit out in left field, the wind changing and blowing a ball back in, a ball that should be home run. It should be a homer, and the Mets would just do for one, and they got it today, and they got it at the perfect time. This is the perfect time for this to happen. And so you look at this now, and it's 5 out of 6, and if they can reel off another week of this type of magic, all of a sudden, we talked about this a couple days ago, they get in the 500 back in early June. All of a sudden, here we go. But it's only as good as, they used to say, momentum is only as good as your next day's starting pitcher. So you got Christian Scott tomorrow against Jake Irvin. And I don't know any of the Washington pitchers. I'm sorry. When I used to do Rotary, or we say fantasy baseball, back then we used to call it Roto, I knew every player on every team. We did that for 17 years, me and my partner. But now that I don't do rotisserie as much, I don't know the players on the other team as well. You got Nolan McLean on Tuesday. They put this up on the Met game, but I wasn't paying too close attention to it. Against Will Warren, not Will Warren, Forster Griffin, who I don't know. And I don't know what Wednesday's matchup is. I could look that up, and I think I will, just to get there. I think they got a 4-game series anyway with Washington. So the Mets don't have, again, the Wednesday game, and this is still trouble, because if the Mets had lost today, see, they don't have anybody for Wednesday. Okay, fine, you lost Clay Holmes. That's going to be a problem. They're going to have to come up with somebody. Maybe Jay Tong. I don't think so, but you're going to do another bullpen game. See, this could have been a disaster for the Mets. Instead, it could be a springboard. That's how fast things change in baseball, because they throw that bullpen game yesterday, and Minaya managed the 6th inning today. He wasn't managing for today's game, if he was, okay? He wasn't. It's like you kind of hedge your bet. You figure you take a shot with Minaya, and, we're paying him $25 million. Maybe he should be able to get somebody out. But I don't like, a good manager puts his players in a situation where they're at their best to succeed and the best chance to succeed. And I don't think he did that with Minaya today in that inning. But he did that because he's trying to get his bullpen ready for Washington, because it is 4 games in a row. And they don't have any pitchers lined up for Wednesday and Thursday right now. They're both undecided. You're going to have to call up somebody. You're going to need consistent starting pitching. You cannot, even if the Mets use up all their energy to try to get back to 500, and you're going to have these starting pitchers still go 4 and 5 innings, except for Nolan McLean, you're going to be in big trouble. It's not going to matter. You're eventually going to run out of gas. These relievers are going to get killed. I mean, Brazoban and Raley are both in their 30s already. But they didn't pitch today. So, again, they're in good shape. They're going to need them to go. These are the type of things you'd like to see. Maybe the Mets can get 7 innings from someone else beside McLean, so that you're not killing this bullpen for the next 4 days. But he was trying to rest it. He got away with it today, okay? I'm telling you straight that Boone severely outmanaged him in the 6th inning. It was a bad decision to put Minaya in that game, I felt like. But it works. Mendoza did a great job. You tip your cap. It worked. So there you go. But again, momentum is your next day starting pitcher. But I will say, and I'll take this starting with A.J. Ewing, that something has happened since this kid has been called up. And it's this. I mean, obviously, we talk about his at-bats, but you'll find that this stuff, you expect it out of a Soto, okay, to put together a quality at-bat. Now you get another guy in the lineup that puts together a quality at-bat, and it's toward the bottom of the lineup. And you see the other players, you see the stuff becomes contagious, where all of a sudden, guys are starting to take more pitches. okay, guys are starting to work the count more because you see this out of a guy like A.J. Ewing doing this, and a young guy, 21 years old. Incredible. And I think that this could help the Met lineup, not just from the fact that he's adding another quality of bat to it, but just the fact that this can begin to, I say, rub off, or gets contagious. Like good at bats are contagious. And I felt that way when he walks there in that at bat before Terrence comes up and pinch hits and hits that ball down the line. How about Terrence as a pinch hitter, by the way? He's a 340 pinch hitter. He was hitting 196. He's a 340 pinch hitter. That double really it gave the Mets a breath. All right, it's 6-1 or 5-1. Pardon me, it's 5-1. It cuts the lead in half, and all of a sudden it's a bloop and a blast again. You're within that. Hits it down the line there. Just a good at bat. He swung late on it, but I mean, you're letting that ball travel. You're trying to see it. You're not trying to do too much with the pitch. And it's almost like what you see what A.J. Ewing does. I mean, he doesn't try to do too much with any ball. He takes a good, short, quick swing, and he tries to barrel it up. And if it's not there, he takes it. So this starts to rub off. And I'm going to point to A.J. Ewing here. And I don't know if you want to leave this guy in the 8th spot. I don't think you do. I think you want to find a better spot for him in the lineup. The problem is, you got Carson up top there with Bo, and I don't think I want to pull Bo out of the lineup just yet because you got to hit that last at bat. It had been real easy. If the Mets lose this game and Bo goes 0 for 5, he's not going to beat batting. Then you look at the error, you look at the 0 for 5, and I'm sitting here talking about New York is too big for Bo Bichette. He's going down the rabbit hole. It's going to be, can he pull himself out of it? But I mean, that's how quick this game is. It can change on a dime, and everybody in that Met locker room today is feeling it's elation, including Bichette, because he got an at bat. If he has a bad at bat there and it's 0 for 5, you spend the night traveling to Washington, okay? And you get into the hotel because they're gonna get to they got to travel. So he's sitting there on his charter flight. He's looking out the window and he's miserable. And if the Mets lose that game, and as a fan, you've got to understand how this affects these guys mentally, because it's not. They like to say, "Oh, that game's over with," but they're human, and they feel and they struggle, and things that leave a bad taste in their mouth, it sits with them, and you fight that negativity all the time as a hitter. And now here's Bo, gets to be able to take a breath. I broke that 0 for streak. I got a hit in a big spot. Thank God. You know what I'm saying? And it gives him, he gets to that hotel room and he's in a good mood and he gets to sleep and he's excited, and he's up and he's ready to go. And maybe this can lead to something tomorrow. Maybe he has a big series in Washington. Maybe he has one of those 8 for 16 series. And we're not talking about Bo Bichette struggling. Okay. And it's one at bat like this in late innings, If I'm a Yankee fan today, I have got to tell you, as great as some of what they have is, which is Rice and Judge and Bellinger, the bad side are these automatic outs that they have in the lineup. And if I'm Carlos Mendoza, I'm mad. I mean, it was nice that Boone bunted with McMahon with first and second. He has to, because McMahon just can't. I mean, he can't hit water if he fell out of a boat. But if I'm Mendoza, I'm managing that game to always make sure McMahon, Volpe, and Wells, who came into the game after, and I'd say Escara too, that they're coming up in spots where I want them to come up in. Okay? I'm going to make sure that they're going to beat me, not the big players I named. I'm not going to let and you could throw Chisholm in there too. He was having a big series. They're not beating me. Okay? And you just can't hit with a lineup that's so unbalanced like that. And if I'm Mendoza, I manage the game to funnel like that. And he didn't today, but that's okay. Carlos gets a break. There's games he manages well that they lose. So, he gets a break today. And it goes off and they win. But the Yankees just got to be beside themselves. I mean, this is another blown game, which they had a couple of one-run losses last week. They did everything right in that game. And then you got a closer come in and throw a lazy curveball like that. Again, Bednar, this isn't Pittsburgh. I don't care that you're a goddamn all-star in Pittsburgh. You're here in New York, okay? And it's a little different here in the ninth inning in New York. All right, a lot more people watching. You can't be lazy like that. I really thought that was that was a get-me-over curveball. And then he got whiplash as Taylor hits it somewhere. It didn't quite make the upper deck, and it was a small chance that maybe it goes foul, but he didn't even hook it. It was just a whiplash shot. If you take a look at Bednar, his head just looked back, and it was gone, and so was the game. So we're on to Washington. 6 games under 500. Things are beginning to, with AJ Ewing up here, you can begin to, not just begin, but things are taking shape. Things are beginning to get a form here. The Mets maybe can get a personality out of this. Maybe they can be a scrappy, feisty, comeback, never say die team, which they have not been, and they were not last year. They hadn't had a comeback win basically after the 8th inning all year. So all of a sudden, maybe you can believe this a little bit. And this can grow. And it'd be nice to have this type of team. For the Mets going 5-1 at home this week, they picked up only 1 game on the wild card. They were 8 games out. Now they're 7 games out. This was the whole week. So you got a lot of teams in front of you. So they're going to have to continue to be competitive here to make this run. And with Holmes gone, we can talk about this tomorrow, but they're going to have to bring in some reinforcements here as a pitch for starting pitching. And you can't live with Peralta also going 5 innings every other start. You're not going to have a bullpen. They're going to have to bring in some starting pitching. But we'll talk about that another time. Right now, Met fans, enjoy. It's going to be a great ride home. You're going to think about this game. It was one of those games that you don't forget. And enjoy it. On to Washington. Keep the momentum going. You win 3 out of 4 in Washington. And the train just keeps rolling. All of a sudden, it's more than just a short win streak. It's starting to become, a habit. And that's what you want. So I'm Tony Saraceno. If you like what I got to say, hit the subscribe button. If you don't, you can make a comment and make fun of me. That's all right. I don't mind. It's just baseball. I may come up with something on the NFL, by the way. I may do a video maybe later tonight on the NFL because I'm really fed up with the NFL. They're playing in Melbourne, Australia, and I'll pick this up later. I'm not a fan of the NFL to begin with, but I got a lot to say about it. So listen, Met fans, enjoy the ride home. Enjoy. Think about the game. Talk about the plays. And then get ready to tune in tomorrow night. I'm Tony Saraceno, and have a great evening.